This is for. Hey, welcome back to Chicago Reacts. I am Zach, an actor here in Chicago, soon to be worldwide, and as always, on my left and your right, I am joined by the magnificent mustachio himself.
I'm Michael, everybody. I'm also an actor here in the city of Chicago. We are back with Chicago Reacts. We are checking out Project Wingman Review, Nuclear Planes, Defeat the Antichrist by Max0r.
By Max0r,
Yes.
yours truly.
Doing that Max0r again. Hey, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else, and leave a comment in that comment section down below. Also, if you are watching this right as it drops, know that we are also live on Twitch, so go check it out after watching this video.
Literally right now.
Right now, let's do it. But let's jump into it.
Play.
Oh no.
There we go.
There we go.
Project Wingman is a game which
Spoilers
and defines the term
epilepsy
competitive
warning.
genocide. In a world
It's
where
inevitable.
Yellowstone National Park has had enough, humanity is plunged into a post-apocalypse where the laws of war are null and void. We play as a mute, possibly autistic psychopath, hell-bent on his mission to fight the Australian Illuminati, featuring such notable species as the land battleship, the
We are
Project Wingman. Okay, this looks like Ace Combat.
It does. It
but
does.
It's not because
It's Project
it's
Wingman.
Project Wingman.
But like,
it looks cool.
yeah, we are 20 seconds into this video, and looking at everything that's been accumulated so far, I'm like, wow, that's at least like 2 hours of editing.
Yeah, this is
Already.
insane. This
Just
is
for the first,
insane.
like classic Max0r, and thank you, Max0r, seriously, for that epilepsy warning.
Yeah.
Maybe have it on screen just a little bit longer, in case you got a newbie coming to the video.
Yeah, definitely.
battleship, and the battle bus across a multitude of varied and interesting locations like the apocalyptic wasteland that is Los Angeles. Caught in the middle of a conflict between the Pacific Federation and Cascadia, our protagonist is forced to put aside his fight with Jack Sparrow in Louisiana to conduct a second American Revolution and facilitate tax evasion. As a member of the Sicario mercenary group, you're given the tools of destruction you need to fight off the Antichrist, because in this universe, the UN does not solve conflict, it starts it and then escalates it. So like most problems in the world, we resort instead to base violence as a means of international dispute. Bring your jets, your guns, your bombs, and your napalms, because we're going absolute Barbarossa. Confused? Good. We live in a society where this is canonically as expensive as a Mercedes and holds 182 missiles. So if you want to see a parade of destruction, melodrama, questionable engineering choices, and King Crimson, then let me be your guide into the wonderful world of Project Wingman, humanity's first jet-centric game where California finally explodes.
Incorrect review. Yes.
Man.
Now, I know what you're thinking.
Also, like, wow, and that it really does look so similar to Ace Combat.
It looks so similar.
So
that
similar.
I'm like, did they have like is this a spin-off? Like,
or
is this
a DLC or something?
Yeah,
like,
because this looks so, I mean, even like the way you track enemies, like a lot of the symbols on the screen look the same. So
Yep.
I'm curious if this is like
even the color, like the green color. This is maybe a little bit more limey.
yeah.
But even the green looks
Or maybe
so
it's just
similar.
created by the same people and it takes place in like a different universe.
It'll be interesting to see if Seth brings that up,
Because that's what I
he
realized
has
with
reviewed all the
you
Ace
mean
Combat.
Max0r?
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries. We just watched the Seth video.
we just
a second
watched the
ago.
Seth's the entire video.
Yeah, because Max0r's dove into like the actual story of the other Ace Combat games, so it's interesting to see it now with like, oh, I guess if they wanted to create something that took place with a different storyline, they would actually have to create like a different game.
Yeah, we'll see if he brings up the similarities between Ace Combat.
I would imagine
I'm
he will.
sure he's going to address it at some point because his Ace Combat video are like some of his earliest ones too.
Oh yeah,
so
they're great.
Yeah.
Jet game, Max? You've gone insane. Jet.
If you haven't checked out our Max0r Ace Combat videos, Michael and I have checked out a number of them already. So
Go watch it after this one.
Games are played by dads that have 12 keyboards and people with
Yes.
actual money. And while it may appear to you that I have money, it's only because I spend it very responsibly. You will be happy to know that Project Wingman is neither a simulation nor has it dug into my extensive budget. I would describe the game as more about piloting a slow Gundam than the actual intricacies of a real
$15,000
air combat.
on
Only in
Genshin.
Project Wingman can you you do the boss fight against the guy with 12 railguns and his force fields. And yes, the force fields do turn into railguns, just like real life. Most people think that
So it's Ace Combat, but like up a level in terms of like the sci-fi element.
There definitely is a lot of sci-fi stuff going on.
Yeah, no, this is cool.
combat is just about circling, and yeah, that's a thing. But the difference is in how it's contextualized and iterated on, which is by insane people. One mission you might be firefighting, and the next thing you know, Crimson 1 appears for the 6th time near the active volcano. How many flight games do you know include lava damage? And do you want to know the best part? The game is fully playable in VR. Please don't use a keyboard, which allows you to do some goofy shit, like physically exiting your cockpit in the middle of a battle. Okay, it's a little windy, but I'm ready. Does anyone else feel lightheaded? I will say though that in order to get the real VR experience, you'll have to repeatedly rotate your head with the light brick strapped to it. I lasted 4 missions on average before the recoiling permanently morphed my spine. You use the radar in your plane by physically looking down, not that you'll be able to by the end. Reviewing the footage, I noticed that there were moments in the game where I just died. That's not me taking off the headset, I just gave up on life. No game will ever make you feel this old, and nothing increases the immersion more than specifically choosing planes with as little visibility as possible for the extra challenge. I beat the entire game in 2 painful sessions, but I had never experienced anything like this ever since my house nearly burned down while playing VTOL VR. What the fuck? So in terms of VR, it's a must-have, because only in VR can we express the true paralyzing fear of driving. So how do we fly our death machine? VR controls, after all, are difficult. Mr. Smart Guy over here thinks he knows how hands work. First of all, you'll need to get inside your real Project Wingman trademark plane. Turn on the main battery. Whatever this is, turn on the engines, but not too fast. Close your canopy. Clasp the shitting grip. Display. I don't know what this does. Boot Windows. Microsoft Pinball. Smash that radar button. Subscribe. Turn off the brakes. Make sure you give the joystick a good jiggle. Now, we're not going to use the carrier's catapult. We're just going to pray. You'll notice I forgot to unfold the wings, which are now detached from the plane. Wings percent speed landing gear. You'll notice controlling an aircraft without wings is hard. That's alright. The guys on that destroyer don't have family. Now that we're in the air and in the correct game, what am I supposed to do? The answer is remarkably simple. Missiles. There's a reason you can carry several hundred of them. Missiles are fucking everything. Every specialized weapon for all your terrestrial needs are various permutations of a missile. It's actually a problem because, I mean, I guess you could use unguided bombs if you want to miss. Ace Combat at least had the gall to let me use an unguided laser, but I don't know, what else could you put on a jet? A fucking dolphin? I don't want to emulate the Wii. You also have the option of a gun, which might as well be a laser, and is the most reliable way to kill anything, including entire battleships. What is in the fucking ammo? If normal bullets worked like this, Chicago would be a nuclear wasteland by tomorrow, as opposed to the current wasteland that it is now. Besides that, the controls are exactly what I want out of it.
Wow, Max.
I mean, hey, I will say that, part of the reason why we're named Chicago Reacts is we want to have different things pop up when people search for Chicago, because
we want to raise some positive awareness of this
beautiful city that we love. So, hey, shout out to Chicago. It's a great place. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Touche.
The jet game, and I don't think they can be improved. What truly makes a combat encounter in the game isn't the simple controls, it's how they're multiplied by the 6 pursuing aircraft. Unlike Ace Combat 7, your allies have the ability to minorly inconvenience each other. They will do, per mission, at least $3 of damage. So the balance between you annihilating everything and there being an actual battle is pretty good. Although majorly stacked, your success is uniquely predicated on the fact that you play as the world's first bloodless human who experiences literally no side effects from the Jupiter strength G-forces that he regularly conducts. You use your newfound power to conduct a series of engagements. 21 engagements. That's a lot of potential war crime trials, which is why we have to win. That being said, anything that we do pales in comparison to the good accomplished by nuking America. We're gonna have to play catch-up. Our liberation will take us all across the video game against all manner of foes, including the planes, the big planes, armies of helpless soldiers with families and dogs, and the Federation fleet. Wait, who is that on my screen. Oh, hi, me matey, it's me. Oh, fuck. But what
You
really
remember?
stands out are the
Yes.
boss fights. Yes, the plane game with boss fights. Shinji, get in the plane. We have to fight the angels or some shit. As for their weaponry, well, it's not physically possible. In order, you fight Crimson Squadron, French woman, and her Australian babe. It's 4 p.m. Time to get in the plane. Crimson Squadron, and Crimson Squadron's very angry nuclear enthusiast. More about him later. He's a guy. You can probably tell that it's character and the dialogue that keeps the game alive. Project Wingman would be an entirely different game if you weren't constantly hearing more complaining than a fucking call center. Silence is so rare that when your ally flips his shit and demands people stop fucking talking, everyone is surprised. So just by playing the game, you get a lot of lore. So I think it's a good time to talk about that. Our story begins, like many, in Wyoming, where Yellowstone National Park does a little trolling, causing the tectonic plates to fucking rupture. In an instant, the entire modern age and Christianity in particular is ended. This, however, created a mysterious, volatile material called cordium, which effectively gave everyone free geothermal energy. And also bombs. What emerged hundreds of years later are the countries of the Pacific, Neo-Mongolia, Large Hawaii, Oceania, and Cascadia. Oceania in particular was once invaded by a cabal of mercenaries attempting to establish diamond dogs or some shit. Thank God that we had Skullface there to help us out. In fact, nearly every
Metal
military
Gear,
engagement
bringing
since
Metal
then
Gear
has
in
been
this?
swayed exclusively by methed up mercenaries. To prevent further challenges to their rule, the Federation tightened its power to include all of the death squads. But primarily, Cascadia was just mad that other people were allowed to use the limitless supply of energy that they had and wanted to sell it to everyone else at a ridiculous markup. This sets the scene for a war of independence which you are caught in the middle of, or rather, insert yourself into for money. Now the thing is, Cascadia is a real nation that exists in the imagination of insufferable people, so I can attest that the geography of where I live is well suited to guerrilla warfare. The entire Cascadian fleet, for instance, is one stolen ship called the Eminent Domain. The Federation, though, is not without a contingency plan. All across their empire, the Federation establishes peacekeepers, that's the real name, elite fighter squadrons of questionable sanity and engagement timing. The peacekeepers are so confident that they arrive late to every single battle that they're in. This directly causes their failure 90% of the time, by the way. The peacekeepers we encounter are the Crimson Squadron, one such group of elites so dedicated that they risked losing their entire air force, went to a volcanic suicide mission, and nuked millions of people because you owned them. Their squadron is led by the infamous and powerful Crimson One, who is elected the whitest among all Oregonians. Unfortunately, he's quite dedicated. Crimson One's idea of protecting his homeland under the banner of the Federation involves nuking it. Twice. It's like he's trying to make anime. He's saving his people from the pain of living. What barbarism will people slip into if we don't have the common travel passes? He's a blast to fight, unlike his friends. I wouldn't consider fighting his squadron to be the peak of gameplay. The game's bosses can be divided into two categories. Bosses that have railguns and this shit. You dodge the Crimson Squadron's missiles by rapidly turning as they approach. But Crimson Squadron themselves are always rapidly turning, sometimes at a 90-degree angle, meaning there is no nuance. While pursuing them, you are invincible. Here's how you fight Crimson Squadron. Turn towards them. Fire a missile. Miss. Fire a missile. Repeat like 10 times until they die.
Oh, and you gotta do this like 8 different times for each individual plane. I am progressively losing my mind. My name is Cleveland Brown.
All in all, dogfights and lore, that's pretty cool, but that's not why.
Max0r's losing it.
What was
He's
that?
losing it.
Was that just like a random connecting it to the Cleveland Brown?
I don't know.
Theme song?
I think wires in his brain started it.
Yeah. That's
just short circuit.
that was the
That's the impression that I
seizure
got.
warning, an epilepsy warning.
Yeah.
Is about as strong as you're gonna get.
You should play the game. Project Wingman is the manic pixie dream girl of vehicle combat. Most battles feature building-sized sky ships. That was an entire boss in Ace Combat 7, and the game's just like, well, have 2 of them fight. Fuck it, you use the lasers. Everything you do has a specific melodramatic reason as part of the wider narrative, and just watching that unfold and how it affects gameplay is the real draw. I see no other way of highlighting how this works than to show you, because Project Wingman is a game that you really need to see to believe.
Yeah.
Side note, the pacing of this game's missions are amazing. I liked it so much that I made a graph out of it, printed out the graph, and showed it to my neighbors.
Excuse me? Can you look at my graph?
Our first act begins with an insertion into Cascadia. There's money to be made, people to kill, and most mercenaries are still mad about the Australian incident. But it's obvious that relying on a single mute man is bad. So you're forced to watch as Los Angeles is bombed. Oh no, the horror. It's time to revise our strategy, rethink our options, bomb our own energy sources. This way, no one will get them, except Crimson One, who sees you doing this and gets mad. This will be a theme. Now it's time to steal a boat. We really need that boat, Monarch. It's imperative that you get the boat. By the way, while defending said boat, we make the discovery that cruise missiles in this universe are pigeon-guided and exhibit traits of self-preservation. Now the war is really going on, like really going on.
What?
It's time to target a civilian airport because it will help the war. We're denying them potential recruits. They don't even know that they're being bombed because the Federation has been able to keep the war a secret for the past few weeks. This is due to the Great Firewall, which patriotically jams all the Wi-Fi across the entire country. There is only one course of action for me when denied of my YouTube. Violence. A lot of violence. Meanwhile, off the coast of fucking Alaska, the Federation is sending transport aircraft to help in the war effort. These aircraft were intercepted and then the
this makes Ace Combat feel like a normal world.
Right. Like,
I mean, this is like
it's and it is insane. Let's be clear, it is insane. But I didn't think it could parallel it, but it does fantastically.
but it does.
It's so crazy. Oh man,
Like it's a very much a Max0r game.
I think it makes sense because I don't think it makes sense, but I think the reason why it's so crazy is like, okay, you've got these planes, you can really only do so much. Like it's a bit repetitive gameplay wise. Mm-hmm. So to make up for it, we're going to give you the craziest places to go and the craziest story things to deal with. And I think that is like, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Freaking perfect.
interception was intercepted, progressing for 9 hours until the entire air force of the two nations are fighting in the same place. Every aircraft. And
like, look at
wow,
that,
it's time to talk about that. Mission 11 is Project Wingman. The planes, the trails, the visual design, every character screaming into my ears at the same time. It is beyond perfect. An epic battle between two titans swayed only by a single mute psychopath. And that music. This track got me pregnant. I think this is a great time to talk about it because the music always fits. Whether it's low tones for a sneaky insertion or a beautiful symphony rising as you descend into battle. I played this mission without the soundtrack, just to torture myself. And it's literally required. This game wouldn't be good without it, and that's a serious testament to the great work that's being done. Also, Crimson One is here, late as usual, and you just beat his ass.
It's pretty rare, actually, that Max0r will just like straight up compliment a game. Like it's not very like 99% of
he's
his.
He's keen for music. I feel like he comments on music a lot of like this game that's insane, and the best thing about it is the score.
Right. But he literally called a mission in this game perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it is. Max0r appreciates a lot, certainly in games and in the games he plays and decides to review. But for him to just straight up issue a just very straightforward compliment and say that something is genuinely just amazing and perfect is a pretty rare thing for Max0r. So if that doesn't speak to the influence of this game on him, I don't know what really could.
Kept in a top secret facility somewhere on the American continent. There is a woman. You have to track them down. It's for the war effort. So you raid the woman containment facility off the coast of Yellowstone and she boards her fucking super aircraft with railguns and the turn radius of a nickel. Woman eliminated. Now let's go down the list. Attack Hawaii for no reason. That's on the list. Attack people in a forest fire. That is definitely on the list. Save civilian lives. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not on the list. It's time to retake Seattle with the Federation in retreat and the war nearly won. With the Air Force in disarray, we're just one step away from... if you're surprised by this, you weren't really watching the video. Do you remember how I said that the Federation basically nukes all of Cascadia? That isn't actually true. It's worse. The Federation didn't just want to nuke us to win the war. They activated all of the cordium deposits in the ground. And do you remember when I said those were used for bombs? That's right. These fuckers just started a second apocalypse. In other video games, war is hell, but in Project Wingman, war is fucking orange. On our way back, we're assaulted again by the same woman, but at this point, I don't care. My retinas are damaged. The Fallout Vegas part of the game has begun, and we're being sent to seize all of the bottle caps that we can hold. Thank you, Joshua Graham. You may notice the game is now very, very orange. That's what the entire rest of the game looks like, and yeah, it hurts. Almost immediately, we're sent back to Seattle to dab on the hordes of homeless people. This is when Crimson One returns, and this time he's very mad. He nuked his house to kill you, and that didn't even work. This leads to a dogfight, which is the dogfight from Mission 11 with additional mental illness. It's clear from the dialogue that Crimson One is not used to losing. Let's help him learn. It's fucking creepy, dude. Jesus. Have a fucking Snickers. With that detour out of the way, it turns out that nukes didn't really help the Federation win. It just made a bunch of guys dress up like the fucking Romans. And with the UN on its last legs, there is one final stronghold for us to bomb. Los Angeles. Fucking finally. We struggle to take the city, fighting foes in the air, on the seas, and attempting to flee my bullets. But after a long and arduous fight, we stand victorious over the city as the music begins to pick up in the background. God fucking damn it. He just does it again. Project Wingman's story is not a Homeric epic. It's not very realistic, nor is it reasonable on any level.
It's not very
Standing
realistic.
over the ruins of everyone that I hate, the Sunny D flashing before my eyes, I come to the realization. Above all, Project Wingman is fun. None of the disparate parts of this schizophrenic game work by themselves. The combat is not Devil May Cry. The lore is not Tolkien. And we are not going to overcome our pride and prejudice. When you make a list, the game doesn't really seem that
You couldn't even keep it together for that line, dude.
Just cracking up mid-joke.
impressive, but like a chef, if we mix our ingredients well, cook at thermonuclear temperature, and add enough rat poison, we will create a spicy blend that's so out of this world, so balls to the wall, that it makes everything taste perfect. The motivation of our final boss makes no fucking sense. His arc is schizophrenia, and his obsession with you is fucking funny. I've never seen someone write a character based exclusively off of projection, but standing where I am now, there's no one I'd rather fight. He's the perfectly goofy antagonist for a game mostly comprised of clown behavior, the music, the drama, the retinal damage. This fight is as ridiculous as the rest of the game, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Son of a bitch. I would like to thank my benevolent weapons manufacturers and defense contractors for funding this channel and enabling my deadly purchases. If you want to contribute towards the channel and ensure perpetual conflict, you can head to my Patreon to learn more. Thank all of you for watching and flying, and of course, your salvation is at hand.
Oh man. Oh man. What a intense and crazy Max0r video.
Yeah, that really took Ace Combat and brought it up to level.
He never did say if it was a different creator, though, did he?
He didn't. He brought up. He referenced.
So similar.
It does. It does. Like, in an extremely similar fashion. Like, there's no way you could deny it.
Almost to the point where I feel like if it wasn't that the Ace Combat people would have rights to sue. For copyright,
quite a bit.
So similar.
Yeah, it's a very heavy inspiration.
But it looks so cool.
Those
music is awesome.
Yeah, those battles where it's like you're literally flying around and avoiding missiles as missiles are like they. I love how they stay painted on the map so you could like track them. It's really cool. It is like. Yeah, it's like if you took Ace Combat and just made it even more like intense, the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
And added like a little bit of a sci-fi post-apocalyptic element to it.
I don't know. I feel like Ace Combat has that though too.
But this takes it to a whole new level as far as like
nukes or like they're gonna raise this city to the ground. They're gonna totally destroy this place or this
right,
thing.
right. But creating a whole new element that like detonating in the ground
Yeah.
and creating living volcanoes on planet Earth. Like that's pretty.
Just like all the crazy story stuff is wild.
Yeah.
Like that they use to motivate all of the warfare.
Mhm.
It's insane. So
Yeah.
it's so much fun. I always love a Max0r review. It's just so intense and engaging. It's fantastic.
If you have played either Project Wingman or Ace Combat, let us know your favorite and why down in the comments. That's going to be really cool to actually sift through and read.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're like similar enough or if you have a preference over the other, and if so, why? And do you know if they're made by the same people? Because I feel like they have to be.
Yeah.
Just with like different backstories.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Guys, if you liked the video, feel free to like it. If you loved it, subscribe. If you haven't already done so, check out our Patreon, which has tons of additional content. And check the description box. There's tons of goodies there, links to our other channels, and even our own personal links if you're interested in Michael and I.
And with that said, we'll see you next time
on Chicago Reacts.